Judy.
Hi.
Hi.
You're the first, I'm new with BREC, and you're the only candidate that ever called me. You called me first, and I was impressed. And we talked, and I said, why should I vote for you? And you told me. And then I said, how do you feel about the Tea Party? And you hesitated, and you hesitated, and then you sort of felt me out. And then when I said, well, I'm with the Tea Party, you said, oh, I'm fine with the Tea Party. So I'm wondering if you're sort of in the middle of the teeter-totter where the Tea Party people are concerned. And the other thing is, you're such a great treasurer. Why should we lose you? I mean, you're such a great fundraiser. I mean, does a chairman raise the money? I mean, if as treasurer, and I've seen you, you know, I've been to several meetings and was very impressed with, you know, your offer to matching funds. I mean, I thought that was very ingenious and everything. Who would be your treasurer if you were chairman?
Okay, so that's two questions there. As far as the Tea Party goes, if you are in a Broward Republican Executive Committee and you're on the board, the rules say that you're not supposed to be a part of, officially, of other outside organizations that are politically oriented. So when it comes to the Tea Party, I value that's a different thing, Anna. The Federation is a Republican organization. It's a different thing.
But it is a political organization.
It's a Republican political organization, though. So as far as the Tea Party goes, I have actually been to the Tea Party events. I was at the April Tax Day Tea Party in 2009. I was there in 2010. I've been on the corner of Oakland and Federal. I've gone to these things. You've probably seen me at these things. So as far as active participation in the Tea Party, I think it's great. They bring a lot of energy and enthusiasm to the party. The thing is, though, is that, you know, you can't be a member of the Republican Executive Committee unless you're a registered Republican. So as far as that goes, I mean, you know, I hope you didn't feel like I was, you know, knocking them or something like that. I mean, I've actually gone to these events and I've volunteered with DC Works for Us to do precinct walks. I
don't know the ropes, that's all.
As far as being treasurer, I like Mark McCarthy. He's a good friend of mine. He's a treasurer in the Republican Club of Greater Hollywood. So I like him.
Would he be available?
Will he be available?
Would he be available?
Well, he's running, yes. I think he'd be good.
Yeah, where is he?
He's not here tonight. I don't know why, but.
Move on to the next question. All right, we have
Next question.
we have a question over here.
Yeah. Richard, thank you for coming out tonight and volunteering your time to talk to us and run for chair. This is basically a question for all the candidates that are running for chairman. Have any of you guys been registered as a Democrat and supported the Democratic Party? Thank you.
I haven't been a registered Republican my entire life, but I have been a conservative my entire life, and ever since the late 1990s, I have volunteered for conservative cause and Republicans, whether it was in college, in the college Republicans, or in New York, volunteering for Rick Lazio against Hillary Clinton, volunteering for President Bush, whether back here in Florida, volunteering for all the people I've been volunteering for. But as far as reaching out, like that stat that I mentioned, 247,000 Republicans, a little bit less Democrats and independents. Well, if we're going to have a registration committee, where do you think we're going to register these people from? They're either going to be independents or they're going to be Democrats. And that's how we're going to bring them in. And one thing I've done at every single club meeting we've had in Hollywood is we have registration forms right there available to register people. And that's what, with regards to the Tea Party, if we can get them to register as Republicans, I think that's a great thing too. I mean, some of the best Republicans out there used to be independents or Democrats. I can rattle off a bunch of names: Pam Bondi. I can say Karen Harrington, who wasn't a Republican until January of this year. And of course, Ronald Reagan. He was a Democrat until 1962, and then he switched, and then 4 years later, he became the Republican governor of California. And so I think we do need to reach out to anybody, all comers, and bring them into the party. Mr. Gleason?
Yeah, I don't have a question, actually. I just have a comment to follow up on a question that was posed earlier to Richard. I did run for a local race, as many of you know, and I can tell you that Richard actually was the only person with BREC that approached me proactively to help with the campaign. You know, so he supported me, and I tell you, Richard is a very knowledgeable person. I was taken aback. The few conversations I've had with him were very long, very knowledgeable, and definitely I can tell you, if anybody's going to support local candidates that knows about it, I've experienced it personally, and I would recommend him.
Thank you, Jim.
Any more questions? Then I get to, no? Isn't on that right yet? Who had a follow-up?
I just have a, no, it's not a question, just a quick comment, like 30 seconds, I promise.
Oh, no. Well, you just wanted a short question.
No, but I just want to say this, and I'm going to be fair about this. I think it's very relevant at this point if somebody running for any, as a Republican, either for any executive committee or for any public service, if they support or not of the Tea Party, or if they get the support of the Tea Party. Because at the same time, the Tea Party, they're independent. They support both Republicans and independents. Personally, I think comes down to grassroots, because your group is not a Tea Party group. So, but you still conservative grassroots. So I think it's more important as far as to really cover everybody when you say, when somebody asks, do you actually support conservative grassroots? That's just, I guess, my only pet peeve. So I don't think there was, well, that's
Like I
just
want
a
to say,
personal
JoJo, proof is in the pudding. I've worked with Karen before. She knows it. I got her materials. I got her bags when she wanted to do a precinct walk. I've actually walked with her. As long as you're supporting Republican candidates, then I can do that. If you're not supporting a Republican candidate, then I can't do that. I mean, that's just the way it is. When you're in the executive committee, you sign a loyalty oath. You can't support a non-Republican, you know, as long as there is a Republican running. I mean, and there's more detail in the loyalty oath. I'd be happy to go over it with you, but Karen?
And also to that is that within our efforts, you know, working together to get the campaign materials out to all the homes in as many as we could in Broward County, we came up against resistance from some of the campaigns, statewide campaigns. Richard came through. He actually did deliver the materials that were needed, and, you know, so I do appreciate that huge. And then he was also said, give me the list and I'll go walk. I saw that. There's not a lot of people in BREC that I saw out there, trust me. We were out there, and it's like, you know, I appreciate that. And it's interesting because you love to be bumping into other people out there. Not so much. All right, here's my tough question for you.
Okay.
All right, you ready? So what happened is that the first time that I met you was at the BREC meeting with the straw poll issue with Rubio and Christ. And at that point, in fact, the two contenders are here now. Interesting. But it's really neat, though, too, because, you know, you can get past things, and that's what really is necessary. Regardless of who you go for in the chair position, you got to make sure you come together afterwards. Do not let it be divisive. It is ridiculous, okay? Beyond a shadow of a doubt. Put your personal feelings aside and get behind and get going, because we have to be effective. The real enemy is the ones that have the progressive agenda. I just want to set that straight right now, okay? Bottom line, that was my first time to see you, because what happened at that point, my impression of BREC was that the people's voice was not being heard. How I saw you coming up is helping the people's voice not be heard. Another time that happened, a little personal effect on this, was the crazy notion that I would run for chair because people were outraged on what was going on, feeling like a placeholder was being put into place without being giving the people options. So what happened, the people wanted to put me forth. That was crazy because I wasn't a member, and but the motion was put forward on the floor to postpone the election for 1 month. And again, at that point, it was you put an effort to stop that motion. So what happens from our perspective, you come across as defending the establishment. How do you answer that?
Okay. I know that this group has a lot of faith in the Constitution of the United States. You go by the Constitution, you believe in the document, you follow it. Well, the BREC has its Constitution too. My argument there was that straw polls in that certain instance were not allowed by the BREC Constitution. In Robert's Rules of Order, it says straw polls are meaningless and dilatory and should not be done. Now, we have a provision, it's called endorsement, in the BREC Constitution. Now, if the motion was for an endorsement, that's a different story. But there's rules behind an endorsement. You have to have proper notice. You have to give everybody a certain amount of, you have to have a certain amount of members vote, 60%. So there's all these rules that go into that. So when I saw that the rules weren't being followed as the way I saw it, and I saw the BREC Constitution, and so I stood up and said, hey, this isn't right. And, you know, not everybody knows all these rules. People do need to be educated and informed about it. There is a BREC Constitution online. It did happen after that. As far as, yeah, after that. As far as reading people on, I mean, that meeting was not handled that well. I'd be the first to admit that. But when it all came down to it, you know, I made the motion to follow the orders of the day. And in the BREC Constitution, it says at the next meeting that you call, the first thing you have to do when you have a resignation is have the election for the chair. So, and then also in my mind, I know that you wouldn't even be allowed to run under the rules because you would have been an alternate anyway. So it wouldn't have really mattered. I know that you're an alternate now because Anna Gomez-Malata and Cindy McLaren are in your precinct. So,
High five over there, girl.
yeah. So,
Palm Beach tonight?
yeah. So once again, you know, you wouldn't have been allowed to run underneath the rules anyway. So knowing all that, it's really just me defending the rules inside the BREC. It's not about defending the establishment or anything. It's just these are the rules that we have. You know, I think you got to follow the rules.
And Richard,
That's it.
and I know, and like I said, I'm friends with you, I'm friends with Jay, and I'm friends with Tom. And I want you to be in public record of saying what happened because people saw that, and I need you to be able to explain, you know, what happened firsthand.
Yeah.
And I lived through it. I mean, it was fun. It was like watching your life happen before your eyes, and there's nothing you can do about it.
As far as reading people on, by the way, I've always passed out membership applications at my own club. I believe everybody's a member of the BREC. I've always tried to get people involved. I know there was somebody at, I forget where it was the regional club I spoke at, and they had a person there who said he was a Tea Partier. And I asked him, I said, well, are you registered
Crazy
Republican?
people.
No. And I said, are you a registered Republican? And he said, yeah. And I said, well, let me whip out my phone. I will email you a BREC application. And that's what I did. And then he filled it out on his own. He sent it in, and there you go. So.
That's a helpful in there. Thank you.
And I know
guys.
that anybody who gave me an application, it gets through. That is an issue, and I'll be the first to say that that needs to be taken care of. Some people sent an email out recently about not being read on. It's too late for the next election to be
Right.
read on, but anybody who has ever come to me personally, or I know Doug Bland's, he made sure people get read on. So.
And the issue that would happen, and for the record, you guys give him a round of applause. And thank you so much. And the issue is that Chip was asked specifically how the order of that meeting was going to happen in April, and Chip specifically said that the members would be read on first, and then after that. So it's interesting to hear what happened, and people knew that. So, but this is what we're concerned about, our leadership of our party, so that it is in the best interest of the people and the county and the party last.